every day as if it were the last, because before you know it, time goes past and life's just not that long. Tell all you love that you love them so, because even if you do, they might not know, and one day we'll all be gone. Taste the wind, don't let it blow on by. Sing songs of love, let the music get you high. And when it's said and done, you'll know the sun will shine.
I dedicate my program tonight to my beloved Jose, bisexual man, very attractive, from Mexico. I met him at the hot springs of Spence Hot Springs in Jemez when he was 23 back in 1991. I had sex with Jose 76 times many years ago. I kept track, more often with Jose than with any other man in my life. As a kid, sadly, Jose was beaten by his father. And this is my poem I wrote thinking of Jose, entitled A Healing Pleasure. For the man whose dad beat his ass when he was a boy, to have his ass kissed, licked, fucked by me, a man who deeply loves him, is, I hope, a healing baptism of intense pleasure to the abused spot of pain and humiliation inflicted by an angry man many years before. Slow, man-given healing for a deep, ugly, man-made scar. Sadly, Jose and I have been out of touch for many years. I'm not sure if he's living or dead. I'm not sure if he's alive, if he's in Mexico or somewhere in the United States. My home is one room in the house of a friend, one room. I enjoy living in my sunny, bright, 9.5 foot by 12 foot room, 114 square feet. 6 windows, 3 on the south, 3 on the east. Lots of wonderful sunshine, many days. And sunshine warms my room on many winter days. I've lived there 12 years. Instead of paying him rent, my friend who owns the house where I have my room has had me send money directly to the organization Right Sharing of World Resources that gives many thousands of dollars to women's cooperatives, agricultural cooperatives, sewing cooperatives in India and in Africa. This year, my friend who owns the house has me send that organization $290 a month instead of paying him any rent. I've never paid him any rent in the 12 years. He's always had me send it directly, not through him, but mail it directly to Right Sharing of World Resources. I have no right to a much larger home, while many millions all over the world have no home. The bigger the house, the more materials were used to build it, the more stuff usually bought to fill it The bigger the house, usually the more energy consumed to heat it or to cool it, causing more poisoned air, more global climate chaos. The bigger the house, the more repairs to do, the more time spent cleaning it. The bigger the house, the more destruction to our Mother Earth, and the more unfair to our sisters and brothers who have no decent shelter. If I were given the most luxurious mansion in Albuquerque, I would not keep it. I would be ashamed as hell to live in it when millions in this world, in India, China, Africa, and thousands here in Albuquerque have no home. Also, I have more interesting things to do, more important things than be a janitor for a big house. U.S. President Harry Truman lied to the nation, to the world, when he said Hiroshima, which he had just devastated by an atomic bomb, he said it was an important Japanese army base. The truth, more than 100,000 men, women, and children the U.S. murdered in Hiroshima, August 6, 1945. U.S. President Truman also lied to the nation about U.S. war in Korea, saying we were fighting for democracy. South Korea was a military dictatorship. More than 50,000 Americans died in that war, and perhaps 2 million Koreans. U.S. President Dwight D. Eisenhower lied about U.S. spy flights over the Soviet Union even after one U.S. flyer on such a mission was shot down. Eisenhower lied to the nation and the world about the U.S. involvement in the coup that overthrew a democratic government in Guatemala, Central America. And that coup brought on a succession of military juntas that killed tens of thousands of people. Eisenhower lied to the nation about the U.S. helping to overthrow a government in Iran because that government was opposed to multinational oil corporations. Always follow the money in anything the U.S. does around the world. Follow the money. And usually it's about profits for the huge corporations, and the people be damned. The United States put the Shah of Iran back on the throne. The Shah's secret police tortured and executed thousands of people in Iran. U.S. President John F. Kennedy lied to the nation about U.S. involvement in the 1961 failed invasion of Cuba. Kennedy told a press conference, "I can assure you that the United States has no intention of using force to overthrow the Castro regime." A damn lie by Kennedy. U.S. Presidents Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon all lied to the nation about what was happening in Vietnam. Kennedy repeatedly claimed that U.S. flyers were not involved in the bombing of Vietnam, even though Kennedy sent 2 helicopter companies there as early as 1962, with the U.S. military dropping napalm shortly thereafter. Presidents Johnson and Nixon both lied when they claimed only military targets were bombed. But reporters knew the greatest number of deaths were among civilians. Nixon lied to the nation about the secret bombing of Cambodia. U.S. President Reagan lied to the nation about his hidden and illegal support of the Contras in Nicaragua. Reagan lied about the importance of Grenada in order to justify the 1983 invasion of that little island. U.S. President Bush lied about the reasons for invading Panama in 1989, saying it was to stop the drug trade. A lie. The United States allowed the drug trade to flourish. Bush also lied to the nation about his real reason for the Persian Gulf War. He pretended to be anguished about the fate of Kuwait, while he was actually more concerned about building U.S. power in Saudi Arabia and controlling the region's oil. U.S. President Clinton lied to the nation about the need to bomb what he called a nerve gas plant in the Sudan. Clinton's administration could produce no evidence that the plant was anything but what the Sudanese government said it was, a plant that produced medicines for the people of Sudan. President Clinton signed the crime bill to build more prisons, execute more people, on the lie that this would lower crime. President Clinton approved the attack on the Waco, Texas compound, which led to the deaths of 81 people, arguing falsely that it was the only choice. Where was the criticism of Clinton when his administration refused to join the international ban on landmines or authorize a strong world court on the grounds that the United States would be in jeopardy? Clinton continued the embargo on Iraq, which resulted in the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Iraqi children, with the lie that the embargo punishes Saddam Hussein. Clinton insisted, when he was president, on a $250 billion military machine, $250 billion a year military machine, when money was desperately needed for health, education, and child care. So when I absolutely damn Putin's war against Ukraine and his filthy, bloody lies to the people of Russia and the world, let us never forget that our U.S. presidents have a horrible history of lies, lies, lies to the people of this country and the world. Governments lie. All governments lie, especially in times of war. The black activist Malcolm X said, "The worst crime whites have committed toward blacks is teaching us to hate ourselves for being black." And as a longtime gay activist, I say one of the worst crimes many, but not all, but many preachers, priests, rabbis, imams, parents, teachers have committed toward us who are gay, lesbian, bisexual, is teaching us to hate and reject ourselves for whom we romantically love. I say one of the worst crimes many, but not all, preachers, priests, rabbis, imams, parents, teachers have committed toward us who are gay, lesbian, bisexual is teaching us to hate and reject ourselves for whom we are sexually attracted to. Most men I am not sexually attracted to, but that still leaves many men whose lean, healthy, black, brown, white bodies turn me on. But most of them are not attracted to me, or if they are attracted to me, they do not say so. I can be close friends with a man or a woman, even if I have no sexual attraction to that person. I enjoy hugging many men, many women, even if I am not sexually attracted to them. How many years will it be? How bad will the climate emergency get before most U.S. travelers are ashamed of driving cars thousands of miles, of flying in planes thousands of miles? If you read the obituaries in the Albuquerque Journal, some of them brag about the person having visited all the states or most of the states or many other nations. That's to brag about in a world that teeters on the edge of catastrophe with the climate crisis. It's something to be ashamed of. Of course, none of us can undo our past. There are many, many things in my 76 years of living. If I had my life to live over, knowing what I know now, I would aim to do differently. Until U.S. long-distance travelers stop bragging and boasting about how many states, how many nations they've traveled to, many of these long-distance travelers would be ashamed. Many of these long-distance travelers with lots of money, many of them living in fancy houses, would be ashamed of having their homes and their gardens, their yards, filthy and full of junk. But are they proud of poisoning our only home, Mother Earth, with many thousands of miles driven and flown? When will we wake up to reality? Sex is great for your back. If all the world's orthopedic specialists convene to formulate the best single exercise for releasing muscular contraction, toning back muscles, relaxing the nervous system, making love would be that exercise. Orgasm is the best muscle relaxant around. It has a huge effect on the whole body. Scientifically, orgasm has been demonstrated 10 times the effect of Valium. The deep inhalations, exhalations following orgasm continue the relaxation process of muscles and nerves. For people with back problems, the 10 minutes following a sexual climax can be a healing luxury not to be denied. And yet, it often is denied because of the person's pain. That's too bad, because except in cases of severe pain that requires bed rest, sexual intercourse can be comfortably performed if you use positions least likely to strain the back. The key to avoiding strain is to make sure you do not arch your back or your neck. Backache sufferers may use the following positions without much, if any, problem. Lying on your side with your knees bent, facing your partner. Another favorite, often recommended by back doctors, is lying front to back, nestled like spoons, with the man behind the woman or the man behind another man. The missionary position can be used also if the person with the backache is on the bottom with elevated knees and the person on top can support most of his or her own weight. In a study in Virginia, 15 severely retarded children were given special vitamin and mineral supplements. And these 15 severely retarded children, their IQs rose an average of 16 points after taking the supplements for 8 months. Now notice, it wasn't overnight. It was not for just a week. After 8 months, 16 points IQ improvement on these 15 severely retarded children. The supplements contained 8 minerals, 11 vitamins, including magnesium, calcium, zinc, iron, vitamins A, C, D, E, and the B complex. The IQ of one Down syndrome child rose 25 points during that study. 2 of the children who continued to take the supplements after the study ended and whose IQs then measured 90 to more than 100 were transferred out of programs for the retarded and into regular schools and grades on their teachers' recommendations. Also, the vision of several children who wore glasses improved, and 3 children with Down syndrome lost the puffiness of the face and the extremities. The IQ of one child who had been brought up to normal school level while taking the nutritional supplements, vitamins, minerals, dropped down to the 50s when his parents took him off the supplements. Healthy food benefits our intelligence, our whole body. I hate loud noise. Loud noise is ear pollution. Loud noise is bad for the ears. And much loud noise can harm our hearing for life. Loud noise is bad for our health. Loud noise is bad for our mood. I love peace and quiet, especially at night when I want to sleep. I aim to respect other people's human right to peace and quiet, especially at night. I will not stop damning all war by every nation, for any man on earth, no matter how strongly attracted I am to him, no matter how deeply I love him. I will not pay federal income tax for war, for any man on earth, no matter how strongly attracted to him I am or how deeply I love him. I will not ride in cars. I ride the city buses, but I mostly walk. I will not eat sugar shit. I will not give up living simply for any man on earth, no matter how strongly attracted I am to him, no matter how deeply I love him. I will not eat meat and cooked food. I will not stop being a nudist. I will not stop being openly gay for any man on earth, no matter how strongly attracted I am to him, no matter how deeply I love him. When a close loved one dies, when a close loved one dies, you will grieve forever. You will not get over the loss of a loved one. You'll learn to live with it. You will heal and you will rebuild yourself around the loss you have suffered. You will be whole again, but you will never be the same. Nor should you be the same. Nor would you want to be the same. Every day, he or she is still gone, but I'm still here, and so are you. We extend our hands to those whose losses are fresh and raw, and those whose losses are etched deeply now on their hearts. And we remind each other that while these grief anniversaries may seem like lonely occasions, we are not alone. We remind each other to keep breathing through our grief anniversaries in this different normal. David in the Bible wrote Psalm 23, "The Lord is my shepherd." David wrote many of the Psalms in the Bible. But in war, David killed far more people, the Bible says tens of thousands, than any U.S. street gang member or anyone on the U.S. death row. Never once in the Bible did David repent or ask forgiveness for his mass murder of thousands of people in other nations. And sadly, many Protestant, many Catholic U.S. military veterans today show no guilt, no regret for killing people in other nations. In many obituaries in the newspaper, it is stated that this person was a U.S. veteran. Imagine if a former street gang member's obituary said he had been or she had been a member of a certain street gang. And yet the U.S. military kills far more people than all the U.S. street gangs of U.S. history combined. All Bible verses that support war are evil poison. Dear Abby, I'm a friendly, nice-looking young man in my mid-20s. For more than 10 years as a teenager and young adult, I suppressed my natural urges, which were homosexual. It was a constant daily battle to stifle my feelings for men. Never at any time did I have those feelings for a female. I knew that homosexuality would never be accepted by my family or society. No one would ever suspect that I am gay. I've never had a homosexual experience. I've never told anyone how I feel. A year and a half ago, I married a fine woman my age, thinking this would force me to change and I would lose my desire for men. I was wrong. My feelings for men are stronger than ever. I have no desire to have sex with my wife. Little by little, I believe she's catching on. I'm absolutely miserable being married, Abby. I'm well respected in my community. I'm active in my church. Divorce is out of the question. No one has any idea what I'm going through. Are there other homosexuals who have given into marriage and are miserable, or am I all alone? Signed, My Secret. And Abby says, Dear Secret, you are not alone. You have far more company than you or anyone else would ever imagine. I have a message for you and for all the others who are in the same boat. To yourself be true. The tragedy is your unwillingness to accept yourself, and in an effort to protect yourself, you involved a woman in your life. She's unfulfilled, and so are you. You say divorce is out of the question. Why? If your wife confronts you, tell her the truth and free both of you from this hopeless sham. Until the late 1960s in the United States, the goal often was to rehabilitate prisoners so they had a better chance of success when they got out of prison. But in the early 1970s, that changed. The U.S. adopted a system of harsh mass incarceration, including extraordinarily long, no parole sentences, even for first-time offenders. The result has been an enormously expensive disaster. U.S. correctional facilities are grossly overcrowded, have transformed into dehumanizing, punishment-oriented regimes that care little about the human beings and center almost only on the institutional security. Many prisons are crumbling compounds populated with brutal, degrading guards, plagued with gang violence, sexual assault, suicide. It doesn't take an expert to realize what kind of traumatized person comes out of a typical U.S. prison. Once released, the stigmatized ex-con still must deal with the unbending parole system, which often makes them feel as though they're still locked up. But the country of Norway does things very differently. We have a lot to learn from them. The correction officials from a handful of U.S. states have finally taken notice. Norway's society is smaller and quite different than ours. We have various minority groups. Norway has much less interracial conflict, but the Norwegian approach to incarceration offers important lessons for us in the United States. Sentences in Norway are never more than 21 years. Never. No matter the crime committed. And from day one, convicts are treated like human beings who, for whatever reason, temporarily lost their way in life and are worthy of help to change. It's really very simple. The head of Norway's Bastøy Island prison said, treat people like dirt and they will be dirt. Treat them like human beings and they will act like human beings. Bastøy is one of Norway's open prisons. Convicts work the land and grow much of their own food. They bicycle across the vast campus of the prison to attend classes on a wide range of traditional and technical subjects. They're encouraged to think about the job they want when they get out. Convicts nearing the end of their sentences are allowed to work off the prison grounds. Among the other eye-opening differences, there are no cells with bars. Imagine, no cells with bars. Prisoners are housed in dormitory rooms where they have their own small kitchen, private bathroom, television. They are not watched by guards, in quotes, but by staff who must attend a special two-year academy where their all expenses paid studies include criminology, law, social welfare, and ethics. In other words, how to treat people right. They're trained to establish meaningful relationships with the people locked up and to open lines of communication so they could reach the person behind the crime that he or she committed. Staff members are paid well. They get such generous benefits that there is stiff competition to be accepted into the academy. Even in Norway's most famous supermax closed prison, Halden, the layout looks very different from any U.S. facility. It is nicknamed the IKE prison for its modern-looking housing units with wide, well-lit hallways, sun-filled rooms, extensive library. A first-class medical department encourages prisoners to maintain good physical health, good mental health. The staff is trained at this supermax in Norway to motivate, not intimidate, to help people change their lives for the better, not run them into the ground worse. You may think this sounds way too cushy for a prison. Those who break the law must be punished. But Norway must be doing something right. They have the lowest recidivism rate in the world. In other words, the lowest percentage of prisoners returning to prison for having committed new crimes. The lowest in the world. Treat people like dirt, they will act like dirt. Treat people like human beings, they have a much better chance of turning their lives around. Only about 20% of the ex-cons in Norway return to prison for new crimes. But in the United States, the return rate is more than 70%. So about 3.5 times as many return to prison in the United States as in Norway. Critics say Norway's system is way too expensive. Indeed, they spend nearly $130,000 per prisoner per year. The average here in the United States is about $38,000 for federal prisoners and between $30,000 and $60,000 for state prisoners. U.S. taxpayers wind up paying more than in Norway because here convicts serve longer sentences. They're much more likely to return to prison, and the number of old prisoners continues to grow here. And old prisoners can cost up to 9 times more to take care of than a younger prisoner. What kind of human being do we want our prisons to turn out? The skilled and confident type, or the unskilled, the traumatized, and those who see themselves as losers and treat other people as victims? Sugar is as addictive as heroin. Sugar is far more addictive than cocaine. White flour turns to sugar when it's digested. Sugar, white flour sodas are slow poison. Diet sodas, artificial sweeteners, are also slow poison. The earlier kids get addicted to sugar, the more likely they will stay addicted until they die. Do most adults realize that feeding kids sugar shit, candy, sodas, cake, ice cream, cookies, processed crap is child abuse? Child abuse. Sugar causes or worsens cancer, allergies, heart disease, all infections, including COVID. Sugar causes or worsens kidney stones, fat bodies, gallstones, arthritis, alcoholism. Sugar causes or worsens other drug addiction, asthma, weak bones, diabetes. Sugar causes or worsens indigestion, insomnia when you can't sleep, headaches, depression. Sugar or worsens cataracts, high blood pressure, mental illness, more than 60 conditions in all. And many years ago, my mother and I were both terribly addicted to sugar shit. But seeing her suffer hell for many, many years, woke me up. She was my all-time closest friend. And now I eat healthier than most millionaires or billionaires, even though I live on less than the U.S. poverty level for me as a single person. I eat no processed crap, no fast food from McDonald's or any of the other deaf fast food places. No sugar, no white flour, no artificial sweeteners, no sugar shit. Sugar shit sickens and kills millions of people. Sugar is the gateway drug. Sugar is the gateway drug. I eat healthy sweets. Lots of whole, fresh fruit. Many kinds of fruit. Not fruit juice. We need the whole fruit. Jeffrey Giuliano wrote this some years ago. He said, "I deeply regret ever letting McDonald's use me to encourage kids to eat animals." See, he back then was the Ronald McDonald. I'm proud to say that today I'm a vegetarian, doing everything I can to urge McDonald's to stop turning a blind eye to animal suffering. Jeffrey Giuliano, the former Ronald McDonald, says, "For years now I've considered my stint as Ronald McDonald to be the nutritional equivalent of the Marlboro Man, hawking products that put people in intensive care with fatal diseases like cancer, heart disease, stroke. As Ronald McDonald, I actually told children that hamburgers grow in vegetable patches instead of letting them know the truth that animals are crowded into tiny cages where they can barely turn around, subjected to painful procedures like debeaking, castration, cutting off their bowels, with no pain killer, and get a brief glimpse of daylight only when they are being trucked to their deaths." I compliment this man, Jeffrey Giuliano, for waking up and publicly changing what he believes, what he eats, how he lives. I took my very sick mother from our farm in Illinois to a nutrition specialist in Houston, Texas, 3 times in the 1970s. On our last trip to Houston, I met young gay Chicano Jaime Chapa in his 20s. Jaime met my mother for the first time outside the restaurant where the 3 of us went to eat. Jaime bent over her wheelchair. He kissed her. Jaime, a young gay Chicano from the big city of Houston. My mother, a 71-year-old sick white farm woman in a wheelchair. A stranger, Jaime, bent over and kissed her. My mother's own grandchildren, whom she deeply loved and who loved her, might not have kissed her in public, but Jaime did. And that touched her heart deeply. And then as the 3 of us sat in that Mexican restaurant, Jaime turned to my mother and asked her, "What do you think about being gay?" I feared what my mother might say, putting down being gay. I had told her I'm gay a couple years before, soon after I first had sex with any man when I was 31, and she told me then that she had not known before that there were gay people in the world. My mother answered, Jaime, don't you want to have children? And back then, in the 1970s, it was not as common for gay people to adopt children. But Jaime was direct with her, adult to adult, when he asked the question, what do you think about being gay? Jaime did not ignore her and just talk just with me. He did not just small talk her with, like, how do you like our weather in Houston? No. Jaime asked her the important question, adult to adult, what do you think about being gay? And later, Jaime volunteered to sing. I had not known that he used to sing at that Mexican restaurant. So I brought in my cassette player from my mother's car. I taped Jaime singing Volver, Volver, one of my all-time favorite songs. I still have that cassette recording over 40 years later. Jaime and I never had sex. Jaime and I did not become lovers. But if Jaime and I had, my mother might have accepted him like another son or son-in-law. I think three things so impressed my mother about Jaime. One, his kissing her in public when he first met her. Two, his honest, important question to her, adult to adult. Three, his singing that beautiful romantic song, Volver, Volver. My mother loved heart-touching music, even if she did not understand the Spanish words. Once my mother told me she wished, and this was a few years later, she wished she could be a mouse in the corner. She meant to watch me have sex with a man. Sadly, that never happened. I wish she had watched me have sex with a man. I have no shame, no guilt about affectionate, passionate sex and romance with men. I celebrate affectionate, passionate sex and romance with men. One of my favorite poems, The Time Is Now. If you're ever going to love me now, while I can know the sweet and tender feelings which from true affection flow. Love me now while I'm living. Do not wait until I'm gone and then have it chiseled in marble, sweet words on ice-cold stone. If you have tender thoughts of me, please tell me now. If you wait until I'm sleeping, never to awaken, there will be death between us, and I won't hear you then. So if you love me even a little bit, let me know it while I'm living, so I can treasure it. One of my favorite poems, author unknown, The Time Is Now. In 1976, my grandparents on my father's side were shot and killed by a severely disturbed 18-year-old white man. And afterwards, some of us, family, went to the funeral home to pick out their coffins. An older man who worked for the funeral home said, "Here is one with an innerspring mattress." Maybe he had no idea how insane, how wrong what he said was. Why should any person on earth have an innerspring mattress for their decaying dead bodies, when millions of living children lie homeless on the ground, cold and hungry. Why do many men and women consider it manly for men to injure each other as boxers, MMA fighters, football players? Why do many mothers and fathers cheer as their son bruises and bloodies another man? Why do many mothers and fathers damn their son giving and receiving sexual pleasure with men? Why do some mothers and fathers throw out of their home their son when they find out he is in love and makes love with men? Why is violence between men in the boxing ring or on the football field or in war far better accepted by millions of people than men giving and receiving sexual pleasure with men? Why prefer pain? Why prefer violence between men than sex and romance between men? Is this world the lunatic asylum of the universe? The poem To My Grown-Up Son. My hands were busy through the day. I did not have much time to play the little games you asked me to. I did not have much time for you. I'd wash your clothes, I'd sew and cook, but when you brought your picture book and asked me, please, to share your fun, I'd say, a little later, son. I'd tuck you in all safe at night. I'd hear your prayers, turn out the light, and then tiptoe softly to the door. I wish I had stayed a minute more. For life is short. Years rush past. A little boy grows up so fast. No longer is he at your side, his precious secrets to confide. The picture books are put away. There are no children's games to play, no goodnight kiss, no prayers to hear. That all belongs to yesteryear. My hands once busy now lie still. The days are long and hard to fill. I wish I might go back and do the little things you asked me to. The wonderful poem by Alice E. Chase, entitled To My Grown-Up Son. Good night.
Live every day as if it were the last, because before you know it, time goes past and life's just not that long. Tell all you love that you love them so, because even if you do, they might not know, and one day we'll all be gone. Taste the wind, don't let it blow on by. Sing songs of love, let the music get you high, and when it's said and done, you'll know the sun will shine on. And when it's said and done, you'll know the sun